Quote Retreat by Sandor. One quote, one reflection, one thought that could bring a moment of light and energy to your day. Join me as we take a look at today's quote. The quote is by Ally Carter, born 1974. It reads, "Not knowing you can't do something is sometimes all it takes to do it." Let's take a moment together to explore the messages within this quote. Here's something that challenges everything we assume about human potential. What if our greatest limitations come from simply knowing they exist? There's this fascinating quote from author Ally Carter that really made me think about this.
Oh wow! Tell me more about what sparked your interest in this idea.
Well, Carter wrote, "Not knowing you can't do something is sometimes all it takes to do it." And what's really interesting is how she embodies this philosophy in her work, writing under the pen name Ally Carter instead of Sarah Lee Fogelman, creating these incredible young adult novels about characters who accomplish seemingly impossible things.
That's making me think about how often we limit ourselves before even trying something new. Like those viral videos where toddlers attempt things that would make adults hesitate.
Exactly. And you know what's fascinating about Carter's approach? In her Gallagher Girls series, she creates this world where young women attend a spy school, and they succeed precisely because they haven't internalized society's limitations. They just do the impossible.
So it's almost like she's tapping into that pure state of possibility that we all have before society tells us what we can't do?
Right. And what's really powerful is how this principle shows up throughout history. Like the Wright brothers, who succeeded in human flight, partly because they weren't trained aeronautical engineers telling themselves it was impossible. They just saw the possibility and went for it.
That reminds me of how some of today's most successful tech startups came from young entrepreneurs who hadn't spent years learning all the rules of their industry.
You know what's really interesting about this concept? It's not just about individual achievement. When someone breaks through these perceived limitations, they create this ripple effect that expands what's possible for everyone else.
Well, that's exactly like what happened with the 4-minute mile. Once Roger Bannister broke it, suddenly others could too. It was like the mental barrier just disappeared.
And that's precisely what Carter does through her writing. She's creating these narratives where young readers, especially girls, can see themselves achieving extraordinary things. It's not just about the specific adventures in her books. It's about fostering that mindset of possibility.
So how do you think we could apply this principle more broadly to education and personal development?
Well, I think it starts with creating environments where people feel empowered to try things without being overwhelmed by perceived limitations. Like in Carter's books, her characters always have this network of friends and mentors who believe in them. That support system is crucial.
That's making me think about how some of the most innovative companies actively work to preserve that sense of beginner's mind in their culture.
Exactly. And you know what's particularly powerful about Carter's approach? She balances this idea of pushing boundaries with practical skills and emotional intelligence. Her characters aren't just blindly charging into danger. They're learning, growing, and developing real capabilities.
like finding that sweet spot between knowledge and possibility, between experience and innovation.
And here's something really fascinating. Carter's books often feature characters who are learning highly specialized skills, like espionage or diplomacy, but approaching them with fresh eyes. It's like she's saying that sometimes being an outsider gives you an advantage.
That's such an interesting perspective. The idea that expertise can sometimes be a limitation rather than an advantage.
You know what I think is the real gift of this quote? It's not just about doing impossible things. It's about recognizing that many of our limitations are self-imposed or socially constructed rather than real. It's about unlearning our limitations as much as learning new skills.
Well, that's certainly giving me a new way to think about personal growth and development.
And maybe that's the most valuable lesson here, that sometimes our greatest advantage isn't what we know, but what we don't know we can't do. It's about maintaining that precious state of possibility while still developing the skills to actually achieve our goals.
That's really making me rethink how we approach challenges and limitations in our lives.
Looking ahead, I think this principle becomes even more important as we face increasingly complex global challenges. Sometimes the solutions might come from people who simply didn't know something was impossible.
With that, we conclude this exciting episode. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd appreciate a like and a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. Your support truly helps this channel grow. See you again tomorrow. Yours, Sandor.